So you keep being told to just do some grounding exercises, but you don't know what those are. Or if you're like me, you remember the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise, where you try to remember 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. But as you're watching me look at my computer, I can tell you, you don't remember which thing you're supposed to do where or when and which number. That is what happens to me all the time. So I came across this technique that I did not invent. In fact, I can't quite find who created this technique, but I'm going to kind of rearrange it and call it the SSTTH. S meaning sight, S for smell, T for taste, T for touch, and H for hear. So SSTTH. SSTTH. Maybe you can think of some way to remember that. But basically, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you need to ground yourself because your anxiety is out of control, maybe you're in a social situation, maybe it's just one of those moments where your mind is focusing on the future, on the past, you can't quite get into the present, and it's affecting the way you're showing up, like in a social situation, or needing to be in a situation in your life where it doesn't appear that your brain is somewhere else and you feel really outside your body. It would feel good for you to be in the present. So let's go through really quickly, like I said, those dynamics. What we're talking about is using our 5 senses to help us get into the present. So here's the way it works. SSTTH, once again. So the first one is sight. So what you're going to do is you're going to look around the space wherever you are, inside, outside, and you're going to try to, in those next few moments or minutes, for as long as you want, focus on everything you can see in detail. So right now I'm sitting in my living room, and I might focus on the plants I can see on my deck, the colors of the bougainvillea flowers, the electric kind of purpley pink. I might focus on my desk chair, on the chrome, on the white leather. I might focus on the kitchen that I can see and the flowers that are sitting on my kitchen table, which are pink roses, no surprise. I might look at my animals, who are both 2 of my animals who were asleep on the sofa, and try to notice like what position they're sleeping in. What does the blanket look like? So you just let yourself go into every little detail that you can see. Colors. I might be able to see a texture. I might be able to just, really just let myself hyper focus on what I can see. The next thing would be smell. And the issue with this is that perhaps you're in a place where you can go pick up a vanilla scented candle and you can smell that. Or grab a little jar of cinnamon in your kitchen and let yourself smell that. Maybe the flowers are in bloom and they're sort of wafting in through the kitchen. I don't know, through the window, right? So really let yourself, without any limits, try to focus on what you can smell. Maybe it's the neighbors, as I was saying in my last video, which may or may not be enjoyable to you. Now, if you're in a situation where you can't go somewhere to smell things, let's say you are sitting at an event, maybe in your purse or your handbag or your pocket you have a vanilla chapstick. You can maybe put that on and really pay attention to the smell. Or you have something nearby like coffee brewing and you can smell that. But if you cannot, if for whatever reason that's not accessible, our brains are pretty magical. And most of us have a really strong, a sense memory for what things are. So you can start to conjure up in your mind, what does a vanilla candle smell like? Or the southern pound cake I love to make, the smell of the vanilla and the butter as it's, cooking in the oven. The smell of the ocean as the sort of the ocean air near the beach, whatever it is. So you can also imagine that. The next one is your T. So now we're focusing on touch, for example. So I might focus on, feeling my hands, holding my hands, putting pressure on my skin, on my arm in some way. Basically touching the dog, the touch, the texture, feeling how soft her fur feels, compared to my other dog who's a little more wiry. Noticing the feeling of the wood floor or the rug on my feet, under my feet. So it really is about anything you can find to touch and trying to really focus on what does it feel like? What is the texture? Is the surface hard or rough or smooth or prickly? Things like that. And then the next one would be taste. Now this is going to be very similar to the smell. If you have a hard candy in your handbag or something, or your briefcase, and you can maybe let yourself taste the candy, or a mint or gum, really focusing on noticing what does this taste like, or maybe salty potato chips or pretzels, noticing how the salt hits your tongue and what that feels like, and just all of that around taste. You might do a whole meal this way, or a whole snack. Sometimes at night I'll have like my cheese, my pistachio nuts, my fruit while I'm watching or binge watching something on Netflix or HBO Max, right? And I could let myself pause and really notice the differences in those flavors and textures. So that's a place to go. But if you are also, once again, in a situation where you can't do that, you can conjure up in your mind's eye, what would it taste like right now to have a lemon sour candy in my mouth? What would it taste like if I were eating ice cream, strawberry or mint or something like that? So you can, let's say you're, like I'm saying, in some kind of social event, no one has to know. You're just letting yourself go through that. And the last one is sound or hearing, which is the H. So SSTTH. You can flip them in any order you want, but the idea is to keep those letters in your mind. And now we're focusing on what we can hear. So do I hear the sound of coffee brewing or a dog barking? Right now I can hear the birds on my deck. I'm not sure you can hear them. Actually, they were just chirping a few minutes ago. So I would really kind of intensely tune into the sounds I can hear and let myself get quiet. It could be the sound of your own heart beating, and that actually could be triggering if you're having, let's say, health anxiety. So depending upon what works for you, focusing on sounds that get you out of whatever makes you more anxious and takes you sort of away from all of whatever's kind of swirling in your mind or the triggers you're feeling or anything like that. So the point of a grounding exercise is to really get you grounded, literally, into your chair, into your seat, noticing what does it feel like beneath my body, sitting on this sofa, for example. It's soft as opposed to the feeling of the hard wood under my feet. So the point of all of that is to have these little strategies that help you ground. And I know they don't work all of the time, but it's like a practice. The more you cultivate practice in these, sort of the stronger that muscle gets. So if you want to add more grounding techniques below, please feel free to do that. But I keep wanting to make videos that are a combination of how-tos and what to do alongside signs and symptoms and information around all topics that are really related to my channel around attachment and trauma and childhood and mental health. So I hope this was helpful. Please stay safe and well, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.